Hi there, welcome back to David's Math Hub. Today we'll be talking about multiplying fractions. So as always, we're going to go over the vocabulary used when multiplying fractions or any other topics. So the vocabulary we will be discussing will be about numerator, which is the top number, denominator is the bottom number. Cross-reduce is a method to divide numbers that are diagonal to each other into smaller numbers, meaning that you look from across, which I'll explain as we are doing some questions. Multiplication is one of the four operations, and simplify is to make fractions into simplest form, meaning we make the fractions into nicer, smaller numbers, which you will see as we are doing the questions from here. So we have problem number 1. So we have 3 over 5 times 1 over 7. So if you look diagonally, so how this works is you're going to look from the 3 right over here, and then you're going to look at the 7, which is right over here. You're going to see, is there numbers that can divide 3 and 7? In this case, the only number that divides both of them would just be 1. If there isn't any other number besides 1, that means you cannot simplify it even more. Now let's look at the 5 and the 1. Is there a number that could divide both 5 and 1? The only number that can divide 5 and 1 is just 1. And keep in mind that the numbers stay the same when you divide 1. So we don't do anything right here. So we do not use cross-reduce. So what we're going to do is multiply 3 and 1 for the numerator and 5 and 7 for the denominator. When you do that, you're going to get 3 over 35. So that's going to be your answer. Problem number 2. So we have 4 over 9 times 3 over 4. So right here, we are going to use cross-reduce. So the first thing what I would do is look at the 4, right? So we have 4 right here at this side. And if you look diagonally, we look from the bottom right, which is this 4 right here. So when you do this, you're trying to see, is there a number besides one that divides 4 and 4? In this case, yes. The numbers that divide 4 and 4 would be 4. When you look from across, when you divide 4 and 4, you get 1. You'll notice right here that this 9 and 3 can be divided. In this case, the number 3 can divide both the 9 and the 3. So if you divide 3 and 3, you get 1. And if you divide 9 and 3, you get 3. Now that we've already simplified it, now we can multiply the fractions. So the numbers in the numerator and the numbers in the denominator. So when you do that, for the numerator, you're going to get 1, and in the denominator, you're going to get 3. So your answer is going to be 1 over 3. Hopefully what I explained right here made sense, and hopefully you followed how I did the cross-reduce form. We'll be doing more along the way. So let's try this one together. So you can see right here that we have huge numbers. So that's why this cross-reduce is very important, so that you don't have to find out numbers that multiply to these giant numbers. So we have 12 over 24 times 15 over 28. So right here, we're definitely going to use cross-reduce because we have these huge numbers. So first, we're going to look diagonally at the 12 and the 28 and the 24 and the 15. There is a number that can divide both the 12 and the 28. So you could think of your times tables and figure out what number can multiply up to 12, right? Like some number times some number equals 12. And you should try to find the same number that kind of gets you that 28. So if you were to think about your times tables, you can use either 4 or 2. But in this case, we're going to use 4 just so that we can do it in one step. So if you divide 4 to both the 12 and the 28, you're going to get 3 when you divide 12 and 4. And you're going to get 7 when you divide the 28 and the 4. You're going to notice that you can also do the same thing for the 24 and the 15. You can divide both of them by the number 3. So if you divide 15 and 3, you will get 5. And same thing for the 24. Divide 24 and 3. You'll be getting 8. So now that we've already simplified these numbers, now we just multiply from across the numerator numbers and the denominator numbers. So 3 times 5, which gives you 15, and 8 times 7 gives you 56. So your final answer is going to be 15 over 56. So this is why cross reduce is very useful, because when you see these big numbers, you'll feel overwhelmed and it's going to make your life hard. So try to make it easier and try to do cross reduce or cross simplifying when dealing with these huge numbers. So we have problem number 4. I want you guys to try this and see what you can come up with. As always, be sure to pause the video for more time. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is check out those numbers from diagonal. So you're going to look at this 5 right here, and then you're going to look at this 11 right here. Is there a number that can divide both 5 and 11? In this case, the only number that can divide both of them would just be the number 1. So right here, we don't have to simplify right here. Now let's look at the 7 and the 9. Well, as you can see, there isn't a number that can divide 7 and 9 except for 1. So what we're going to do is just multiply from across. So 5 times 9 gives you 45, and 7 times 11 gives you 77. So your answer is going to be 45 over 77. And there isn't a number that can divide both the 45 and 77. So this is going to be your answer. Alright, try this one and see what you can come up with. Alright, so let's look at it again. So the 5 and the 12, you can see that it cannot divide. There isn't a nice number that can divide both the 5 and the 12. Same thing for the 9 and 11. There isn't a number that can divide both the 9 and the 11 at the same time. So we're just going to multiply them from across. When you do that, you're going to get 55 when you multiply 5 and 11, and you'll be getting 108 when you multiply the 9 and the 12. So your final answer is going to be 55 over 108. Alright, so for the final question, try to see what you can come up with and pause the video for more time. Okay, so same thing again. Look at the 14 and the 35. You can see that these two can be simplified. And by doing that, you can divide them both by the number 7. So when you do that, you're going to get 2 when you divide both 14 and 7. You'll be getting the 5 when you divide 35 and 7. Same thing for 18 and 27. There is a number that can divide both of them, and that is the number 9. When you divide 9 with 18, you'll get 2, and 27 divided by 9 gives you the 3. So now you multiply them from across. You'll see here that we get 6 over 10, right? 2 times 3 gives you 6, and 2 times 5 gives you 10. You're going to notice that this is not in reduced form because there is a number that can divide the 6 and the 10. In this case, you can divide both of them by the number 2. So when you divide 2 and 6, you get 3, and if you divide 10 and 2, you'll be getting 5. So there will be some cases where cross reduce may not give you the simplest form, and you would have to reduce it again. There will be some cases, so keep that in mind. Just wanted to show you guys this just so that if you see something like this, you won't be, confused about it. So just letting you know there will be cases where you will see questions like this. Alright, so we've reached the end of the lesson. So we're going to sum up what we just learned today. So we learned how to multiply fractions, use cross-reduce method to make big numbers smaller, and how to simplify fractions if necessary. If you have any other questions about this, then write it down in the comments below, and maybe I'll try to do some stuff which you guys may request, and I'll see if I can make a simple lesson for you guys on how you guys can work on these topics when solving these problems. And thank you for joining the Hub, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day, everyone.